Okay, let's just get the party trick out of the way. The Kia Sorento can drive by itself. Not very fast and not very far, but it can do it. The future is here. It's pretty impressive, actually. Right, now that we've got that out of the way, we can talk about the rest of the Kia Sorento, which is an amazingly well kitted out SUV. It's the largest in the Kia lineup, and I think it looks really, really good. I especially love the front design here with these LEDs and the front grille. It's a nice squared off kind of look that's a little bit different to what we're seeing from Mazda and MG and Toyota and Nissan at the moment. It's quite a distinctive design, and it's actually very eye-catching. The midsection has a touch of Audi about it, and it kind of swoops down a little bit in the Mercedes-Benz sort of shape and leads to these rear light clusters, which I think are my favourite exterior design element. In fact, all up, I think this is a really good looking car. The Sorento is a 7-seater, so you have a few boot options. With all of the seats up, there's just 187 litres of space. Lower the back row, you get 616. And if you have all of the rear seats lowered, there's a huge 2,011 litres of cargo space. Inside the very large engine bay sits a surprisingly small engine, but it's small in size only, not in power output. It's a turbo diesel 4-cylinder 2-litre engine that outputs 148 kilowatts of power and 440 newton meters of torque. And it gives you 6.1 litres per 100 kilometres fuel economy, which is extremely efficient, and a full tank will get you an amazing 900 kilometres. It's a very smooth, powerful engine that's mated to an 8-speed dual-clutch transmission with all-wheel drive. If you're going to become a Kia Sorento owner, be prepared to be spending a bit of time wiping down the shiny piano black plastic down, because it gets covered in fingerprints really, really easily. And that's the one thing I think that actually stops this interior from looking quite as premium as some other cars. It's just a little bit too much. It's just a little bit chintzy. But having said that, I really do like the design. I think it looks really nice, and there's every gadget that you can imagine in here. It's very well kitted out, and there's a great range of materials used as well, with some nice soft plastics up here on top. Got a nice textured look here over here on the passenger side. It looks and feels very premium. The star of the show that everyone notices when they first get in this car is the massive 10.25-inch center console screen. It looks gorgeous, it's nice and wide, it's one of the biggest you're going to find in any car anywhere, and the sound system, the Bose sound system that comes with it, is really, really good as well. The only thing that lets it down is the software. It's a little bit laggy, especially in navigation mode. Pairing your phone with Bluetooth can be a bit of a chore, and to actually access your phone at all, you have to push the media button, which by default takes you into the ambient sound mode. You then have to select your phone from another menu, so it's just a little bit of a process, and it could be a little bit smoother and a bit easier. And also in this particular car I've got, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto don't seem to be working because the USB input that controls them doesn't seem to be working. So a little bit disappointing with that, but I'm told that Apple CarPlay takes up the entire screen and not just a small portion of it, which is what happens with a lot of widescreen center console screens, but that doesn't happen here, fortunately. There's a lot of customization that's available in this car through the center console screen, including the ambient lighting color, which can be set to just about any color you want through this color wheel that pops up on the screen. Climate controls are very simple to use with these switches and the touch sensitive bars in the middle here. A nice deep center console bin underneath that with 3 USBs. Unfortunately, one of them doesn't work, and that's the input for the center console screen, but the other 2 are good for charging. There's also a wireless charging pad here as well. We've got heated and cooled seat controls just up next to that, and then moving down, a couple of cup holders, the gear selector, which is a rotary dial. It has a really good feel to it. I like the way this works with the park button in the middle, and then the drive mode selector and the terrain selector, which is interchangeable. So you push the middle button. Drive modes include Comfort, Eco, Sport and Smart. Push it again for terrain and you get snow, mud and sand. And then some more buttons for the heated steering wheel, the park brake, the auto hold, the descent control and a couple of other parking controls there too. A nice big deep centre bin with a removable tray. Then we come to the digital instrument cluster, and I think this is actually the first all-digital instrument cluster I've seen in a Kia. All the other ones I've driven have been hybrid analog digital units, but this one's Digi all the way, and it looks great. There's about 3 different display modes you can choose from, and they're all linked to which drive mode you're in, but you can select them for any time you want, really. And then there's this really cool 4th mode, which just shows the horizon in a very simplified pareback kind of style, and it actually changes during the day. So at dusk, you get a nice dusk image on there. It's really beautiful. Very relaxing to look at actually, but not distracting, which is important. Just up above that, we've got the head-up display showing you your speed and navigation directions. The steering wheel is actually quite small for a car this size, but it has a really good feel to it. It's leather wrapped, and there's a couple of paddle shifters there should you wish to change gears manually. The Sorento sits up quite high, and likewise the seating position for the driver inside the cabin is quite high. So I've got really good visibility out the front, right to the corner of the bonnet. Out the sides, not too bad, and there's also blind spot monitors in the rear vision mirrors. The seats themselves are very comfortable. They're Nappa leather. They've got some beautiful stitching with some nice white piping as a bit of an added feature there. They're heated and cooled. Full electric adjustment for the driver and passenger with some memory settings for the driver up here on the door. Plus, there's lumbar support. I love lumbar support. Okay, back seat of the Kia Sorento GT line. First impressions? Yeah, it's very comfortable, although I do have to say, I'm a little bit disappointed in the amount of knee room. I'm 190 centimeters tall, I'm behind my own seating position, and I know it's not often I would be sitting behind my own seating position in a car like this, but I can only report what I see, and well, my knees are just touching the back of the seat in this hard plastic shell. I was just expecting maybe just a tad more room. Also, headroom slightly limited here, and that's because of the beautiful panoramic sunroof up here that does eat into headroom just a little bit. More of this nice Nappa leather here that we saw in the front. We've got a USB outlet here in the center, a couple of air vents here for the air conditioning system, 2 more USBs in the back of the passenger and driver seats. And if you really want to annoy whoever's sitting in the front seat, you can actually play with their seating position and move them around. It may cost you an ice cream at the petrol station on the way, but what price is there on fun? There is quite easily room to seat 3 people in here. We've got an armrest with a couple of cup holders. There's another cup holder here in the door, plus a shade, which is great for the baby or if you just want a little bit of privacy. So all up, yeah, it's pretty good. The 2-litre 4-cylinder diesel engine does not lack in power at all. I'm just flying up this hill, and this is a very steep hill. Okay, let's see how that acceleration feels. The 440 Newton meters of torque as we go onto the freeway. Yeah, feels good. But the one thing that I have noticed with this car, especially in sport mode, is when you put your foot down and you're going onto the freeway, the acceleration doesn't come off when you lift your foot off the gas, which is a little bit weird. It sort of holds the revs for just a little bit longer than it feels comfortable. I mean, the revs drop off eventually. It's just not quite as instantaneous as what you might expect it to be. Stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic in peak hour, the Sorento GT line is actually a very comfortable place to be. I'm in this seating position, it's very armchair-like. The seats are nice and comfortable. I've got heating and cooling. The sound system is terrific. It is really, really good. This is a perfect place for me to have a little bit of alone time and just enjoy a podcast. It is nice sitting up high in a big SUV because you really do have a great view over the top of everything. It does kind of suck though being stuck in traffic behind one because you just can't see past them. You've got no idea what's going on in front of you. I'm glad I'm not behind me right now. Okay, just engaging the adaptive cruise control to see how that goes in bumper to bumper traffic. Stops pretty firmly. I don't think it's going to accelerate off by itself. It does. The last Kia I had that had this system didn't actually accelerate for you again when it came to a stop in traffic, but this one seems to. Use switch or pedal to accelerate. Ah, okay, so you still have to do it manually. So if I just sit here as the traffic moves off, let's see what happens. Absolutely nothing. But if I hit the plus button here on this wheel, off we go. That's pretty good. It's not as good as some other systems which are completely automated, but this one's pretty good. When you have a close look at the spec sheet, there's really very little to separate an Audi Q7 from a Kia Sorento GT line. Honestly, they're almost neck and neck in terms of what they offer in comfort, practicality, and performance. It's just seat massages and showing maps on the driver's instrument cluster that are really the only noticeable differences. Apart from the price, of course. To get a Q7 on the road, you're looking at around about 115 grand. The Kia Sorento GT line is just $64,000. So unless a German badge is a real must-have for you, take a Kia Sorento GT line for a test drive. You might be surprised at just how good it is.